if you are interested in climate change and its impact, as well as inclusive short stories and different author styles, this book is for you. I'm talking about Save the World, an anthology of short stories written by sci-fi writers about their possible solutions and ideas on climate change. I was extremely attracted to this idea as soon as I read the blurb for the book. I think with climate change, our imagination will be the only solution possible. So the fact that someone thought sci-fi writers are the best persons for this job, for coming up with solutions to our climate change problem, well, that is wonderful. I salute this idea. And the short stories, most of them are very well written. They drew me in from the first one, and the majority of them could even become interesting books on themselves, because I feel their subject isn't at all exhausted and they can go write about it for another 200 pages or so. Also, the fact that characters in most of them were extremely well developed in just a few pages is quite the performance. I was quite surprised, pleasantly surprised. They were very diverse. We have all kinds of gay characters and marriages with 3 partners, so the future is looking bright on that front. They were not, of course, the focus, but it made the read even more interesting. I was fortunate enough to read the books in a Kindle format from NetGalley, so after every story I was surprised to find the author's bio and socials. If you ever like a story, you can even contact the authors that way and find out more about them, any other works they've written. I think it's a cool idea as well. However, while every story was interesting in itself, and the book had this theme about it, the problem of climate change, possible solutions, and the characters were similarly diverse in all the stories. I also think it lacked a bit of cohesion, because you pass from past to present, the worlds are different, the writer's styles are different. Of course, it's an anthology that was to be expected, but what I can offer as an advice, and for me it worked very well this way, because I was actually very interested in these stories, but I couldn't just read them one after the other. I read one a night, perhaps 2, and that worked out very well, especially because I was able to ponder on the world the author created this way even more. What I conclude with this book is that climate change is evidently a big problem, and the solutions will not at all be simple. It is sad, but almost all authors seem to think our future is headed for big problems like lack of water, food, riots, and most of the solutions will only come up after we face this grim future, because it is the only one that will allow for a real change in legislation, change in mentalities. Most of the writers think we have to reach rock bottom in order to change something. I hope that is not the case, and books like this will inspire us to do more. But As history stands, most often than not, writers have a point. This collection of stories contains a lot of different, maybe out there ideas of what we can actually do to combat climate change. I'll provide now my favorite highlights. The most emotional story for me was Operation Cover Up, which implies self sacrifice in order to cover the melting ice caps. And this way, the ice caps will have a better chance at being preserved. Another story I liked was By the Light of Stars, which suggests that small things can have a great impact. And I love that, even though this story became a little preachy by the end, I still liked it. The story The Sun Builders of Chitungwitsa underlines the importance of building upon and preserving knowledge. Stubborn as Dirt highlights the importance of schools and the implication of children in these problems, because the future belongs to them, the planet belongs to them, and they might actually have the best ideas and be the most driven to come up with solutions. I think Stubborn as Dirt might be the most important story in this anthology yet. However, my favorite one is Ship City, which I think has the best character development there is. I think it is also the most inspiring one and encourages us to um, think outside the box, promote outside the box ideas, and make sure nothing really goes to waste ever. I think that's the way to go for our future to be better. The Micro Remediator tackles this idea that small things can have an impact. Probably solutions might be simpler than we think and even cheaper than we think. That might be a problem for big companies who try to impose patents on every possible solution out there. So this story tackles a bit the scenario of such simple, cheap solutions. Another one is Protective Act, which suggests a future where animals and people live together in harmony, where violence against animals, even unintended one, is punished. It proposes the idea that technology will help with that, but it also hints at mentalities being changed in a very short time if only the right legislation is put in place. And the list goes on, but these are my favorites, and they tackle climate change from different points of view. I love that they are some are thinking big, some are thinking small solutions. In the end, of course, there is no one miracle solution, and all these may be important. Climate change and its possible solution is a never-ending discussion. This book may be a good starting point for it. I do recommend it, especially if you want to dive into this kind of current issues. I'm Maria from Read Fine Books. Thank you for watching.